Hello. Hello, girl. It's the beast to say hello to Dad. Oh. What's up, dog? What's up, guys? Sure is foggy out. You guys better enjoy this snow while it still lasts. That's what you're doing right now?
Better not drop your phone, Daddy.
I won't.
You're not getting a new one. We also got you a new phone case.
Awesome. I got a new phone case, y'all. Sweet.
I don't know if he did or not because...
And then there's this one. The one we do not speak of. What's up, guys? So, here's my sick bird. She doesn't want to use her legs. That's a fact. And I'm kind of wondering what's going on with her. The only thing I can think of is my biggest fear is Merrick's disease. So she's kind of pale in her feet. That's why I'm wondering if it's a vitamin deficiency. That's what I'm treating for right now. But she's got no balance. She kind of can stand up, but she wants to sit down. She kind of seems a little thin, but her wings are good. Yeah, come on, girl. So her pupils are wide, they're not gray. She doesn't have worms. I mean, her wattle's a little gray. Could be a little bit redder. So, I mean, she's eating and drinking like you wouldn't believe. I mean, and everything else is fine. And I'm not seeing any signs of mites. And her skin, where her feathers attached, they're not raised or ruffled or anything like that. But I think it might be Merrick's disease. And if that's the case, then... Oh, I'm sorry, girl. And if that's the case, then it's pretty much going to run rampant through the whole flock. So if you guys don't know what that is, then that's basically chicken. It's chicken herpes. And first signs is they start losing the function of their limbs, paralysis in their lower limbs. And it's just going to continue to the point they can't eat anymore. So, and they'll eventually just starve to death, which we won't let that happen, but I'm going to give this bird a fighting chance. She is removed from the flock. I'm going to keep a close eye on the rest of my birds, because I don't want this infection spreading if it already hasn't, and if it already has. And the bad part about the whole situation is if it is Merrick's, then it's almost impossible to get rid of. And I'm pretty sure these birds were vaccinated. I thought they were, but it's a possibility that they weren't. And, you know, it's my responsibility as a owner and responsible caregiver of these animals is to obviously notice these issues and take care of them as I notice them. I owe this bird the responsibility that I owe this bird is to make sure that it doesn't suffer and that I don't get my other birds sick. Now, this bird is, you know, people think chickens are cheap. That's just a bird. You know, they only cost a couple bucks, but you know, this bird is giving me eggs and you know, my family enjoyment, and has taught us life lessons, and I owe it to this bird to give it everything I possibly can to treat to make sure it gets better. And I owe the rest of the birds that too. And what I mean by I owe the rest of the birds that is taking this one out of the flock and separating it so the others don't get sick, and or euthanizing the bird. So if these, you know, conditions persist, then eventually I'm going to have to make the call and put the bird out of its misery if the conditions keep on getting worse, because it's just not the life to live, to slowly wither away. Now, like I said, she's eating, she's drinking water, so that tells me that she has an appetite, obviously, and she's not dehydrated. Her pupils aren't gray, her eyes aren't swollen, her breast and stuff isn't swollen. She just feels extremely underweight, so that's why I'm praying that this is a nutritional issue. I pray that it is a matter of she was low on the pecking order and she wasn't getting food, because I did notice that the birds were getting aggressive towards another birds, and I thought maybe it had something to do with just the special treats that they got, mainly like strawberries and the vegetables and things. And I thought there was no problem with them, fighting over it. But, if they can't get their basic food and water, then that's an issue. She's not dirty on the backside, so I really don't know what to say. She doesn't have the ability of her legs. She lost the ability to walk and hold herself up. So we'll continue to keep an eye on her. She is drinking water. She's eating plenty of food. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna treat it as a vitamin deficiency. So I'm gonna get her some iron and some other vitamins and start administering those in her water. If I have to go direct to a syringe, mouth fed, then I'll do that. But everybody's giving me some great advice, and the one thing that kept on coming up was the fact that I was able to notice this, and that I paid close attention to my birds to notice that one wasn't doing very well. But I just have to say that you guys who get into this this kind of life, it's more than just a hobby. You have to take responsibility, and you have to take care of your animals. And sometimes that means doing things that aren't fun, and dealing with sick birds, and dealing with hard situations to deal with, like putting an animal down. It's not fun and it's not glamorous whatsoever, but this is the downside of what we do. So, like I said, we owe it to our animals to take care of them. They take care of us by giving us milk, eggs, and so on and so forth, meat. And we owe it to them to make sure that they stay healthy as much as we possibly can. So just be sure that if you guys get into this, you guys are ready for this part. I'll tell you right now, when I first started this, we weren't ready for it. We lost quite a few birds to predators, and it really hit close to home. And then we just had to realize that this was the part of raising livestock, and we owed it to the animals to protect them as much as possible. And that meant countermeasures to predators, and that meant watching on them and checking on them, and not just letting them be to their own devices. I mean, at one time these were wild, but they depend on us hugely, and we owe it to them. So if these are things that you think that you'll be able to take care of and handle, then I would suggest that you get into this lifestyle. If you're getting these for pets and you're eventually going to pawn this on to somebody else, I would highly suggest that you don't do this. You don't get into this, because it's just not fair to the animals. I had one comment today about a guy who said that this is one of the reasons why he's going to start with Cornish cross hens, or Cornish cross chickens, excuse me, and that's awesome. Inexpensive bird. He doesn't have that much time to raise them. He's pushing 8 weeks. He can even push it out a little further if they wanted to, and he's just going to get his feet wet, and that is awesome, and that's an awesome way to go about it. Make sure that this is for you, and if it's not, the worst part is then you harvest your chickens and you don't have to ever do it again. But I thought it was really awesome that he thought about that. He took time and thought about what he was going to do, and if it was right for him. And a lot of people don't do that. They jump into this, and they just don't understand that these things are going to happen, and there's a lot of care. You just don't bite. animals and let them to be to their own devices. And my dog right now, Jasmine, is absolutely freaking out. She wants this bird so bad. She wants this bird so bad. So I'll try to get him to stand up. I'm going to work with this girl. I'm going to keep on working with her and see if she gets better. I just don't have a good feeling she is. But I'm going to give her everything I got to help her out. See? So that's one of the little signs that they stick their wings out. And then pretty soon they can't stick their wings out. And then it turns into laying down on their side, and then eventually they starve or die of dehydration. So I'm gonna get some fresh water, some fresh food, and change out her bedding and go from there. But you know, one thing I'm gonna do to counter this, if I'm able to get through this without, hopefully with just, if this is a isolated case with just this one bird, that I would strongly suggest not doing the deep litter method. And you know, a lot of people argue with that, but I just can't help but think that if this is a bacteria issue and not a disease, but a bacteria issue, that had something to do with it. And I don't care how cold it gets or what their circumstances are. I think birds eating around their own feces and digging through their stuff, even if you are putting down fresh wood chips all the time, is probably not the best scenario. At least not in my coop, in a small environment. It's not working out. I have probably this thick of litter on the bottom because I'm constantly putting down fresh wood chips to keep on top of that manure. And you know, it's going to give me some awesome compost, but you know what, it's just not worth it. My birds, I got 12 birds in a, I think I said it was like a 6x8, probably a little bigger, I'm not sure, but it's a pretty good sized coop. I mean, it's not gigantic, but I think it's just too many birds in a too small of area, and the weather conditions are just not working out. It's cold, they're not out in a run, and I think, you know, I think this might be a bacteria issue, I hope. And I have another bird that has, her eyes are kind of squinty, not swollen. She has no discharge or mucus or nothing, but she's acting normal. She just has like this squinty eye. You just can't tell when someone's feeling sick. She just kind of got that sick look in her eye. This one, on the other hand, can't hold herself up, but she is a lot better than she was yesterday. So that gives me kind of hope, because yesterday she couldn't even balance. She was just on her side. She's just a little bit, she's kind of like if this was the back joint and this is her claws or talons, she's kind of like leaning and sitting on these back hocks. So she's holding herself up with her thigh. So that's more than she was doing yesterday, because yesterday she was on her breast with her head on the ground. So she is showing improvement, and I will keep on tabs on her and let you guys know. And she's kind of got a little bit of fight in her, but that's what it is, guys. We'll see what happens. We'll get you one good last look at this chicken before I sign off. So, has her feet. See how they're kind of pale? Her legs. See our feet, our claws aren't, talons aren't spread out. She's not trying to grab. She wants to, but she's just not. Her wattles are kind of light pink. They're not dark red. I'm not seeing any mites. Her pupils are really wide. They're not gray. I'm not seeing any worm issues. I might go through a deworm and see if that helps. Plenty of appetite. I don't know what's wrong with this bird, but I hope it's not the disease I think it is. So, all right, guys. I appreciate you watching. If you got any advice, man, hit that comment. Let me know. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you gotta do. Get a hold of me. If there's something you think that something you know that could help. So, all right, appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Later.